Hello YouTube, welcome to yet another review. Today, as I said in my last review, I am going to be talking a little bit about Unbroken, which is Angelina Jolie's directorial debut and kind of spotlighting a film about a kind of a unique character. It was a Italian man named Lou something. I forget what his last name was, even though they say it like a million times in the movie. His last name is not important to this review, so I'll bing it here, whatever. And kind of takes a step back and looks at this character through the lens of war-stricken America. And what is kind of nice is that there is, again, kind of like the Imitation Game, my last review, this does not have a director's stamp on it. And that's, I'm not going to say that's odd for like Angelina Jolie. I don't know much about her. I'm not a huge fan, but usually whenever a celebrity actress or actor tries to go into directing, they tend to let you know that it's them, and they try to put their kind of style and their spin on their first movie, kind of establish their motif or their directorial style. So, but this is I'm not going to say bland or plain. It wasn't anything like that, but it was again, it just kind of steps back and makes the story take over. So really this movie is kind of in two parts. Yes, it follows kind of the 3-act narrative or structure of a movie, but really the first half is a definite kind of a character study, and then the second half is more hero's tale, redemption themes, that kind of thing. So I picked up on it quite a bit throughout the movie, but it's not something that took me out of the movie or anything like that. Really, there was only like 2 or 3 times I was conscious of a cliche or kind of like a what moment or a bad green screen, which I'll talk about in a minute. First off, like, I didn't know any of these actors except for Jai Courtney, who was in it for like 15 minutes in the beginning. Thank God. So I'm sure these actors have done work before. There's no way this is their first thing. So I'm just, pardon my ignorance for not knowing who these actors are, but wonderful job by the main actor who portrayed Lou. And again, I'll put his name wherever I want. Wonderful job at kind of now it wasn't like Benedict Cumberbatch where he had like a crazy kind of a neurotic character. This was just kind of like an all-American, and yes, he was Italian, but is this kind of a blank slate, kind of middle of the road kind of a character. Yes, he did things and other acts that were extraordinary, but as far as his personality goes, he didn't have to do a whole lot that I would think that was outside of the ordinary. So the beginning of the movie, it kind of starts off, and it keeps cutting between what's going on current day with him in the war and him on a bombing run and all this other stuff. I'm assuming because of the draft. So in the movie, it says, oh, we have an opera singer here, we have a whatever here, and then, whenever they get captured in the POW camp, so I'm assuming all these people didn't just join the military, that they were drafted. So it cuts between young Lou, kind of growing up as a whopper without papers, Italian immigrant, who is getting into trouble and doing things that youngsters do. Well, he's drinking liquor and stuff like that, so I don't think every youngster does that. But it kind of shows him getting into trouble and him not thinking much of himself, but others, thinking a lot of him. And it's kind of dovetailing that into current day with his bombing runs in the military and whatnot. So the pacing and the editing especially kind of was one of the things that kind of took me out of it. It felt forced. It felt I felt that we could incorporate this part of his life somehow else other than just hard cut from current day to his childhood. So really, I mean, there's not a whole lot of ways to do that other than expository dialogue, which I don't like either, and doing it by memories or flashbacks or something like that. So really, Angelina's hands were kind of tied on how to show his backstory, his life as a child, and without having the movie be 5 hours long. So I thought that did it kind of well. It did it actually pretty well. It established his character, and we get a real feel for who the character is right from the first 15-20 minutes of the movie. And it shows him kind of growing up as kind of a track star, and he's very good at it. He's running, I think they said 4 minute 21 second miles, which, I mean, I'm a runner, so that's extremely fast. And it kind of shows him going to the Olympics, and he's doing well. So you really get a sense for this character and his determination, and the fact that maybe he's not like everybody else when it comes to doing things and motivation and that kind of thing. So I think the movie did a great job at establishing that this is the perfect character to endure what they endured later on in the movie. The cinematography, again, I always talk about cinematography, very much kind of like a Imitation Game. Again, there's no stamp of a director here. It just beautifully shot things, especially whenever their airplane goes down and they're stuck on a raft for like 40 days or some crazy amount of time like that. And it shows the stars above them and just their yellow raft. And it was just a beautiful looking shot. It was one of those shots I wish they left to linger longer and longer and longer, kind of like a Kubrick shot, just so I can take in that visual. One, I love stars, as you know, and two, I just loved that kind of duality where it shows the vastness of the cosmos, and they're also discussing religion and their place in the universe, and they're contemplating death and the fact that they might die, and it shows this nice metaphor of the grand cosmos and their little tiny raft. So it was a very nice kind of a shot that shows you things about the theming and other things without having to explain it. So, bravo to that. So I just wish I could watch the scene a little bit longer. I wish it didn't cut so quickly to something else. But again, this is not a visceral kind of an art house movie. This was more of a narrative driven, straight story, which is fine. So I can give it a pass on that. The only thing that kind of really took me out of the movie is spoilers. I'll warn you here. 3, 2, 1. Stop if you don't want to know the spoilers. There's a scene in the movie that is supposed to tug at your heartstrings. So 3 of these characters, one is Lou and the others are his friends. They're surviving on this raft, and there's a really what started out as a very heartfelt scene where one of the guys just knows he's gonna die. It's like day 40 or something crazy like that. And he tells everyone, I'm going to die tonight. He can just sort of feel it. Lo and behold, character dies. And it has this score and everything where you're like, it's supposed to be implying that you're supposed to feel a lot from this scene. And they put him up on the raft and they just sort of push him over. And I wanted to cry. Really wanted to feel some emotion, but all I could do was look at the 2 characters that were performing this task, and they're like this. And yeah, I get it. It probably was a complicated thing, but if they would have had the 2 characters just embrace and cry and show some emotion, it would have just been a much more powerful scene. And yeah, I get it. Their minds are probably fried. They're probably not in their own wits about them. I get that, but let's put some movie stuff in there. It would have been much nicer if I would have heard some some emotion, or saw some emotion and some crying or some sort of something other than a blank stare. It's really what it was. And I was like, what? Like, come on. Also, there's a major religious theme, and that's nothing anybody couldn't pick up on. There's a title sequence after the movie that says, exactly what I'm about to say. But major themes of religion, major themes of giving yourself up to a higher power, and that higher power or whatever working towards saving you, or giving you the implication that a higher power is saving you. So whether or not you believe in that is not important, but in the theme of the movie, he did, and it gives you the idea that he didn't believe in a higher power, and then he said, hey, if you save me from this, I'll give myself to you. Lo and behold, he gets sort of saved, and he gives himself to God or religion or whatever it is. So another major part of the movie was whenever they get caught and go to a POW camp, and really they meet this officer. He's a colonel or whatever his name is, whatever his name is. They call him the Bird because they want to call him something else, but if they could call him that, they'd kill him for saying that, whatever. So this character is a very mean, very, very heartless character. He tortures people, he beats them up. I would have liked to see a little bit more depth to this character. He was very one-dimensional and very, very just not plain, but I don't want to say. He was a good character, and he really ratcheted up the hatred and the and really drove you to root for the good guys. But I would have liked to have seen the only time we got anything but he's a mean dictator, kind of in your face torturer, is whenever he in the last scene, and you've seen the trailer where the guy lifts the board above his head, and I'll cut to it right here, just if you haven't seen the trailer. At the end of that scene, the colonel, or I think he's a sergeant now because he gets promoted, he starts kind of getting emotional, saying, "Don't look me in the eye, don't look me in the eye," and you can kind of tell. So I don't know what happened there, but anyway, getting back to where we were. So you can kind of tell that this character maybe he was brought up in like a very militaristic home, and maybe he was beaten or whatever as a child. It doesn't imply any of that, but you sort of get it from this one scene where he, starts telling him, "Don't look into my eyes," and then he beats him, and he starts the sergeant becomes emotional, and he looks, maybe even he's crying and everything, and then cut to something else. That's it. That's all we got from anything that wasn't, "I'm gonna beat you up because I'm the bad guy." So I wish I would have gotten a little bit more into his backstory, because he was a very interesting character, and I wish I would have gotten more from him. It's a shame that movies focus, I think movies, especially movies about a hero, focus too much on the hero. It's the villain that I find more captivating and more interesting. I want to know more about why the villain is the way that he is, as opposed to why the hero is the way that he is or she is. So I really wish I would have gotten more from that, but I got enough. It wasn't a total bad mark against the movie. It was enough for me. So one other thing that took me out of the movie was a really bad green screen that showed them on a raft, and then them showing huge waves on a green screen, kind of a CGI thing. It looked fake. So I mean, there's nothing more or less I could say about that. It just didn't look good. So I mean, it just took me out of the movie. But other than that, great movie. Great, I don't give scores, but I definitely go watch it. It's one of the better movies that I've seen in a while, and it definitely deserves time and money and all that stuff. And bravo to Angelina Jolie. She did a great job directing. I'm sure she had a lot of help, but got great performances from the actors, very good visuals, and a very compelling story from... and it told a story I didn't really know about. I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know a whole lot, and now I know a lot more about this story that deserves a little bit of recognition, and I'm glad it got it. So go see it. I don't know what I'm going to see next. I actually had a commenter ask if I take suggestions on reviews, and I was so happy that someone actually watched my thing and actually wants me to review something and get my opinion. I was like, yeah, go, absolutely, just tell me what you want to see. So and if you guys want me to review something that you want my opinion on, please, by all means, tell me. It lights up my day whenever you guys tell me something like that. So Thank you guys again for watching so much. See you on the next review and Blind Side Out. That kind of thing. And the movie takes place completely from a British point of view. I don't know a whole lot about British history.